One dark, deep, desolate. What appeared in front of Xiao Yan was a boundless wilderness, the sky above his head. The sky was as black as ink, and it was extremely oppressive. Traces of light that had been torn apart shone through the darkness like tiny stars. It was rather bleak. As he walked through the illusory spirit space, Xiao Yan focused all of his attention. In his mind, he also recalled what Mu Yiyue had said. In the ancient times, too many powerful beings had fallen here. Their source energy had turned into demons that ran amok in this place. In the beginning, any monster had the strength of a giant. This place had also become the renowned Asura purgatory of the great worlds. Those supreme experts would all come here to cultivate. As time passed, the origin chis of those almighty experts were gradually depleted. The demon's strength was also becoming weaker and weaker. Naturally, it was abandoned by those supreme experts. Of course, they were not interested in it. In the eyes of the dean who had just established the 4 academies, it was an extremely precious cultivation resource. They had paid a huge price to exchange for the illusory spirit space, thus becoming the common cultivation resource of the 4 academies. Stepping on the ground, Xiao Yan walked carefully. Borrowing the help of the dim light, he could see that the ground had already turned red. This was the blood of an ancient mighty figure. It was dark and ancient. The surroundings were extremely quiet. What entered his ears was the strange sound of the wind, as if it was coming from the darkness and blowing into the darkness. "Hey, I slept for a while. Why did you come to this place?" As he was walking, the Xiaoao's voice suddenly sounded in Xiao Yan's mind. In the next moment, a crimson gold flame rushed out from Xiao Yan's chest. As flames curled around it, a Xiaoao with short red hair appeared beside Xiao Yan. "The invincible and handsome Master Xiaoao has arrived." When he saw Xiao Yan, the Xiaoao chuckled. Its expression was much better than before, but upon closer inspection, there was still a deep tiredness between its brows. "You know about this place?" Hearing the meaning behind the Xiaoao's words, Xiao Yan's heart skipped a beat and he said in surprise. Xiaoao looked around and pondered for a moment before saying, "I think I have an impression of him. He came here with that old man before. But it was a long time ago. At that time, this place was full of monsters. It was not as desolate as it is now." As he spoke, "I haven't seen a single monster for a long time." The joy in Xiao Yan's heart grew when he heard this. As the Xiaoao's strength increased, he could gradually recall some of the memories from his past life. He no longer needed to rely on the memories that were imprinted in his bloodline. This was undoubtedly good for him at the moment. "Teacher has also been here before?" Covering his mouth, Xiao Yan also softly sighed. Time rotated. As Yi Tianxin's disciple, he stepped into this place once again. "That's right, but at that time, our strength had already reached the monarch cultivation. We had entered the deepest part of this place and found many good things there." After smashing his mouth, Xiaoao was immersed in his memory. Suddenly, he regained his senses and looked at Xiao Yan with a smile on his face. "What are you doing?" Seeing the flattering smile on Xiaoao's face, Xiao Yan couldn't help but feel shocked. He had no idea where this guy had learned so many expressions. The Xiaoao that was as pure as a blank piece of paper was gone forever. "When I came here with the old fellow vaguely felt something unusual. However, he didn't dare to venture into the depths when he wasn't strong enough. Now, he's here. I must go and take a look. It must be a treasure if that old man can sense it." Xiaoao looked at Xiao Yan with a smile on his face and said, "What kind of joke is this?" Xiao Yan's facial expression changed slightly. He gritted his teeth and said, "All of you have reached the monarch cultivation back then, and I dare not go there. With my current monarch spirit strength, aren't I just courting death?" Xiaoao hastily waved his hand and said, "No, no. It has been such a long time. The strength of the monsters in this place must have dropped drastically. It was absolutely impossible for there to be any emperor cultivation or above. Besides, even if it was an emperor cultivation, it would still be impossible for them to survive. We can still defeat it with our combined strength." Xiaoao looked at Xiao Yan with a smile on his face and said with a fawning expression, "No." Xiao Yan's attitude was firm and he directly refused. This place was full of danger. Even though he had heard so much from Mu Yiyue, he still didn't have any confidence in his heart. It was better to go deep into the tiger's den and live a peaceful life. Although it was said that fortune came from danger, it also depended on what kind of danger it was. As for the risk of losing his life, he naturally couldn't take it. When Xiao Yan rejected her so straightforwardly, Xiao Ao's small eyes rolled around. He sighed and said, "All right. With my current strength, it will be difficult for me to defeat an Emperor cultivation level monster. Although I haven't been to this place for tens of thousands of years, I still have some general memories. I know that there are many monsters there. Follow me. It will definitely increase your strength by leaps and bounds." After hearing these words, Xiao Yan exhaled a breath of air just now. He was most afraid that this fellow would forcefully pull him to look for that thing. He was here to increase his strength, not to look for something. Besides, tens of thousands of years had passed. Who knew if the thing that his teacher sensed was still there? With the Xiao Ao leading the way, Xiao Yan had unknowingly relaxed a lot. After all, with such a great combat strength, anyone would feel more at ease. Although the surrounding light was weak, with Xiao Yan's soul strength and the eyesight of the Xiao Ao, he was able to easily avoid the numerous dangers on the ground. Back then, demons were everywhere. Even monarch cultivation demons could be found everywhere, unlike now. After walking for a long time, not a single monster could be seen. Just as the Xiao Ao was muttering to itself, it suddenly raised its brows. Its blazing red eyes looked into the distance, and its expression instantly became serious. Almost at the same time, Xiao Yan's expression also sank. His majestic soul energy also sensed a trace of abnormality in an instant. 3. This is a great gift. The Xiao Ao chuckled as he looked at the three monsters that were slowly walking out from the black fog not far away. Xiao Yan looked over. The monsters were like humans, their bodies were thin, and their exposed skin was covered in black lines. Their eyes were empty. It was as if there was a tiny spiritual light pulsating in its body. An extremely powerful origin chi was leaking out from its chest. Obviously, that was where the origin bead was located. This should be a monarch spirit level monster, and it belongs to the weakest category. Glancing at the three monsters' appearances, the Xiao Ao casually said, "A monster of this level could not enter his eyes at all." When they saw Xiao Yan and the other two, the three monsters also roared crazily. Spiritual light was violently pulsating in their empty eye sockets as they hobbled towards Xiao Yan and the Xiao Ao. Just as Xiao Yan was about to attack, his expression suddenly changed. The Xiao Ao also let out a soft exclamation. Both of them looked at the thick fog at the same time. Following a muffled sound, a demon wearing metal armor slowly walked out. The monster's entire body was covered by metal armor, and its eyes were exposed. The red light jumped, and it held a black spear in its hand. The tip of the spear was overflowing with blood, and as it walked, the sound of metal hitting metal could be heard without an end. "Xiao Yan, this big guy has the strength of an emperor. Looking at his appearance, he is a strong warrior even amongst emperors. One of his origin bead is equivalent to nearly 30 monarch spirit level origin beads." Looking at the armored monster, the Xiao Ao chuckled and looked at Xiao Yan. When Xiao Yan heard this, a trace of excitement surged into his eyes. This kind of strength was something that he had the confidence to deal with. Before Xiao Yan could do anything, the armored monster let out a deafening roar. It waved its spear and charged at Xiao Yan. Although its speed was slow, it was extremely fast. The other three monarch spirit monsters trembled under the deterrence of Xiao Yan's voice. To them, the flesh and blood of humans could enhance their strength, but in front of this deterrent force, they could only hold back the madness in their hearts. Xiao Yan's eyes focused, and he leapt up into the air. The blue flame ruler in his hand had already appeared, and he was now attacking the armored demon. When the Xiao Ao saw this, it also shifted its gaze to the other three monsters. It had been a long time since it had come out to exercise. These three guys were perfect for practicing. Wang! The blue flame ruler and the black spear collided. The force that came from the collision made Xiao Yan's arms numb. He let out a breath and stopped underestimating them. With a wave of his wrist, he blocked the incoming spear once again. Kai! After exchanging a few blows and seeing that it was unable to injure Xiao Yan after a long time, the red light in the eyes of the armored devil became even more dazzling. Its body trembled slightly, and along with the intense fluctuation of the origin chi in front of its chest, an undetectable yin chi was emitted from its body and swept towards Xiao Yan. Be careful of that yin chi. The Xiao Ao's eyes were like lightning, and it immediately sensed something. While fighting the three monsters, it didn't forget to remind Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's expression was solemn. The origin monarch qi in his hands surged out. Like a gust of wild wind, it blew over and dispersed the lingering yin qi. As the sovereign flame on the blue flame ruler burned, it actually let out a strange wail. This is the origin corpse qi that can corrode one's body. A tiny bit of it will require a large amount of origin monarch qi to get rid of. When the old man and I came here, a monarch cultivation warrior was corroded by a large amount of origin corpse qi and turned into a pile of bones in an instant. After sending the three demons flying with a few punches, the Xiao said with a solemn expression. The scene at that time was still vivid in its mind. Xiao Yan nodded his head. He didn't dare to lower his guard against the monsters in front of him. His body was surrounded by flames, burning the source corpse qi that rushed over into nothingness. After exchanging a few rounds of attacks, Xiao Yan could clearly see the means of the monster. Apart from the source corpse qi, its strength was much stronger than that of an ordinary emperor. Although it had some intelligence, it didn't cause much damage to Xiao Yan. With an understanding, Xiao Yan shook his head and quickly killed the metal-armored monster. Following a ghost cry, the body of the metal-armored monster suddenly turned into a black fog and disappeared. A dragon eye-sized origin bead fell to the ground. Picking up the origin bead, Xiao Yan clicked his tongue and sighed in admiration when he sensed that it was filled with Xiao Yan's. The origin monarch qis within were indeed rich. The origin monarch qis within the spiritual source array that he used for cultivation could not be compared to them. Luckily, I split a few flames with Xuan and Kai Lin before coming in. It should be able to suppress the origin corpse qi. Sighing, Xiao Yan started to worry about Xuan and Kai Lin. The strength of the monster was only average. However, the pervasive corpse qi gave him a headache. Here you go. The Xiao had also quickly dealt with the three monarch spirit monsters, and handed the three origin beads to Xiao Yan. At his current strength, the monarch spirit level monster's origin beads were no longer useful. After taking the three Xiao's, Xiao Yan looked at the four Xiao Yans in his hand with a burning gaze. The origin beads within the origin monarch qis were glowing brightly, causing the origin chains in his body to buzz. He pondered for a moment. Xiao Yan sat down cross-legged. The four origin beads floated in front of him. The moment Xiao Yan formed a hand seal, numerous origin beads immediately surged out from the four origin monarch qis and surged into Xiao Yan's body. Why are you in such a hurry? He curled his lips. The Xiao consciously walked to Xiao Yan's side to protect him, but his eyes were fixed on Xiao Yan. He looked in a certain direction, then looked at Xiao Yan with a cunning smile on his cute face. Who? Four origin monarch qis continuously entered Xiao Yan's body. Under the refinement of the two monarch flames, they turned into the purest origin monarch qis and entered his body, penetrating all the meridians in his body. When they gathered into the origin monarch crystal, the original 8 origin chains began to buzz. After surrounding the origin monarch crystal, on the other side, a crystal clear origin chains was also forming at an extremely fast speed. During the first battle with Bai Yangqiao, Xiao Yan's strength had skyrocketed to 8 monarch spirit. After a month of preparation and the combination of the burning spell and the yin and yang, the origin monarch qi in his body had become even sharper. After fighting with the few experts on the soaring dragon ranking, it had become more solid. Now, the feeling of eagerness in his body had become even stronger. Crack! Following a slight sound, an origin bead had already shattered and turned into ashes. At the same time, the chains within Xiao Yan's body began to ring. The 9th origin chains that penetrated his body extended out from the origin monarch crystal. As it shook, the origin qi overflowed in all directions. 9 monarch spirit? The sudden increase in momentum also attracted the attention of the Xiao. Looking sideways, Xiao Yan's expression was solemn as he continued to crazily absorb the remaining 3 origin beads. This is... oh right, this guy's physical strength is comparable to an emperor, he can also withstand it. After muttering to himself, the excitement in the Xiao's eyes intensified. Hurry up, the stronger the better. It will be safer to bring you wherever you go. Kaka! Almost at the same time, the 2 monarch spirit levels that belonged to monarch spirit level monsters shattered one after another. The origin beads that were taken from the armored monster's body were still glowing brightly, and a large amount of Origin Monarch Qis kept surging out. Boom! Flames surged on Zhu Tianwo's arm. His face was expressionless as he passed through the chest of the monster in front of him. He was holding the Origin bead in his hand. His body was surrounded by raging flames. The Origin Corpse Qi that was spreading in all directions could not penetrate into his body. It took me half a day to get this Emperor Origin bead. The monster in front of him slowly dissipated. Zhu Tianwo looked at the Origin bead in his hand and sighed. He also knew this place. It used to be an ancient battlefield, but as time passed, the level of the monster became lower and lower. To him, it was impossible to quickly increase his strength. I only have 15 days left. I need to find the place where the Monster Kings are gathered as soon as possible. It would be even better if I can kill a Monarch Emperor monster. Zhu Tianwo murmured to himself. He put away the Origin bead in his hand and dashed away. Kai! All the Origin Monarch Qis on her body surged and eliminated the soybean-sized Origin Corpse Qi on her face. Wu Shaoqi let out a light breath and put away the Origin bead that fell from the ground. Just now, she was careless and actually let the Origin Corpse Qi touch her face. Fortunately, she discovered it early, otherwise the consequences would be unimaginable. No, it is too slow to collect it like this. After muttering, Wu Shaoqi looked into the distance and mused for a while. Then, she gently bit her teeth and her body moved and flew into the distance. In the illusory spirit realm, she was fearless. That place was filled with danger and danger. If she did not do something bold, it would be impossible to increase her strength by a large margin. Boom! A loud explosion erupted from Xiaoyan's body. 9 chains resonated and rumbled like an ocean. Within Xiaoyan's body, the 9 crystal-clear jade-like origin chains had already transformed into a glowing red chain. Mysterious lines surfaced on the surface of the red chain. On it were even more abundant origin qis as they surged endlessly. At the same time that the origin bead in front of him shattered, Xiaoyan slowly opened his eyes. The flame in his eyes flashed and disappeared. His entire person looked even more otherworldly. Emperor. Sensing Xiaoyan's strength, the excitement in the Xiaoao's eyes became even more intense. With this guy's ability, after he advanced to the Emperor realm, he would be able to fight a Monarch Emperor. He needed to think of a way to trick this guy into going there. 5. As the buzzing sound of the origin chains in his body slowly faded, Xiaoyan also stood up from the ground. The comfortable origin Monarch Qi in his body was like a flowing river, and the feeling it gave him was far greater than when he was at the Monarch Spirit. Xiaoyan slowly clenched his fist, and even his brows relaxed. The feeling he had now was several times stronger than when he had just entered. Not only that, the last time he advanced to the Monarch Spirit was in the Spirit Heaven Mansion. After a few years, he had finally reached the Sovereign Realm. While enjoying the exuberant life force in his body, Xiaoyan's brows suddenly furrowed. He couldn't help but look at his chest. At this moment, it was a bright red. A vigorous and powerful black gold ancient body, force, had appeared in front of his chest. Prestige power spell? Xiaoyan was startled when he saw the word, force, appearing on its own accord. It had been a long time since this thing had appeared. This time, it had actually appeared after advancing to the Emperor realm. Wang, black and golden words appeared in front of his chest. The powerful qi that spread out from it made Xiaoyan feel suffocated. The Xiaoao by the side also had a shocked expression. Crack crack. As it rotated, the surrounding space even showed signs of cracking. A monstrous aura gushed out from it. Compared to Xiaoyan's Monarch Qi, it was like the light of a firefly. After rotating for a moment, the black and gold words entered Xiaoyan's chest once again. However, the qi seemed to flow into Xiaoyan's body, causing his qi to rise again. Tisk tisk, the qi is comparable to an emperor cultivation. Sensing the qi on Xiaoyan's body, the Xiaoao was shocked. Although the former's strength was only that of an emperor, the qi it emitted was comparable to an emperor cultivation warrior. If it was a fight between two people with the same strength, Xiaoyan could suppress his opponent with his qi alone. This is great, this is great. After the exclamation, the Xiaoao became even more excited. The stronger Xiaoyan was, the less danger he would face if he went to that place. Woo! After pondering for a while, Xiaoyan still couldn't figure out what was going on. He wanted to probe the prestige power spell, but when his soul force entered the prestige power spell, It was like a stone bull entering the ocean, and he couldn't get any response. He shook his head. Xiao Yan also gave up on this idea. Obviously, the mystery of the prestige power spell wasn't something he could understand at the moment. Let's go. You have just advanced to the Emperor realm, and your strength is still unstable. Absorb more origin beads and stabilize it earlier. Recovering his thoughts, the Xiao said with a smile. After advancing to the Emperor realm in one go, Xiao Yan's mood was also very good. He nodded his head and walked deeper under the lead of the Xiao. The illusory spirit space was always covered in a gray haze, as if one could never reach the end of the path. Black mist filled the place where one's eyes met, and the ghostly howls of the evil wind could be heard from somewhere, causing one to not dare to be careless. Is there someone ahead? After walking for an unknown period of time, the surrounding scenery was as monotonous as ever. When Xiao Yan sensed the fluctuation of the origin qi in front of him, he couldn't help but feel refreshed. Next to him, the Xiao looked forward curiously, but after thinking for a while, it still didn't enter Xiao Yan's body. He swaggered over with Xiao Yan. There was no need for him to hide here. Who could be stronger than him? A human figure swiftly flashed in front of him. The two monsters fell to the ground in response. The human figure landed and two glowing origin beads appeared in his hands. Huh? Xiao Yan stopped not far away. When he saw the human figure's face, he could not help but smile awkwardly. This young man was one of the two men from Realm and Valley whom he had never seen before. As for who he was, he had no idea. Who are you? The young man also noticed Xiao Yan in an instant. When he saw the latter's appearance, he was slightly startled. Then, he shifted his gaze to the Xiao beside Xiao Yan. The doubt in his eyes intensified. He had never seen this red-haired little fellow before when he came in. I'm Xiao Yan. I wonder which senior you are in Realm and Valley. Xiao Yan glanced at the Xiao, then cupped his fists at the young man and said in a soft voice. You are Xiao Yan? The young man was shocked when he heard that. He immediately relaxed his brows and stopped asking about the Xiao. A smile appeared on his face and he said, I am Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi? Xiao Yan was startled when he heard the young man's self-introduction. He didn't expect this young man to be the third strongest warrior in Realm and Valley. He was also the famous Xiao Yi on the Yunluo ranking in Capital of Chaos. I have been to the Xiao clan before to meet the Great Elder. He asked me to send you a letter. After regaining his senses, Xiao Yan quickly calmed down. After pondering for a moment, he flipped his palm and a bamboo slip appeared in his hand, then he shot it towards Desolate Yi. After catching the bamboo slip, a trace of shock appeared in Xiao Yan's indifferent eyes. There was even a trace of fury. You have been to the Xiao clan? When did this happen? Before entering the academy, I was entrusted by Senior Xiao Wang to go. Xiao Yi suddenly looked a little nervous. Although Xiao Yan was puzzled, his face returned to calm as he said, Xiao Wang? Xiao Wang from the Spirit Heaven Mansion's Purple Radiance sect? Xiao Yi murmured to himself. He suddenly looked at Xiao Yan and said, What else have you seen besides meeting the old man? Xiao Yan frowned and did not hide anything. He said in a clear voice, The Great Elder also let me see the image of the Xiao clan's monarch flame and introduced the history of the Xiao clan. He only saw the images? Xiao Yi's eyes were like swords as he stared at Xiao Yan. Only when he saw the latter nod his head did his nervous expression eased up a little. He tore open the bamboo slip and quickly browsed through the information within it. A shocked expression involuntarily surfaced on Xiao Yi's face. Hey, I never thought that you were also a member of the Xiao clan. He glanced at Xiao Yan with a complicated expression. Xiao Yi held the bamboo slip in his hand. Origin Monarch Qi overflowed from his palm and turned the bamboo slip into ashes. Xiao Yan's expression was calm. He could roughly guess that the bamboo slip given to Xiao Yi by the Great Elder would introduce him to the Great Elder. However, for some reason, he could sense a faint hostility from this fellow. The old man seems to think quite highly of you. Xiao Yi murmured to himself. He took a deep breath and looked at Xiao Yan. Suddenly, he revealed a strange smile and said in a low voice, You are really amazing. It was beyond my expectation that you could fight Zhu Tianwo to a draw. However, if you have the monarch flame, there is nothing wrong with it. Xiao Yan raised his eyebrows and stared at Xiao Yi. What do you mean? The Xiao on the side also looked at Xiao Yi. This guy was talking nonsense. What was he trying to do? Since we are all from the Xiao clan, I can tell you. Xiao Yi crossed his arms over his chest, and a smile appeared on his face. Zhu Tianwo was secretly nurtured by me. I know his strength the best. I thought that he would be stronger than me. He was able to defeat Mu Yiyue in this competition, but I never thought that he would lose to you. Your strength is only at the monarch spirit, so the monarch flame must have contributed a lot to defeating Zhu Tianwo. Xiao Yan looked at Xiao Yi with a calm expression, but a bad feeling suddenly emerged in his heart. The monarch flame can greatly increase my strength. After knowing that you have defeated Zhu Tianwo, I believe this saying even more. The Xiao clan has the Golden Emperor Heavenly Phoenix Flame, and no one can subdue it. After a pause, the smile on Xiao Yi's face became even wider. I don't know if you have heard of it before. In ancient times, a fully mastered sacred spirit fire body could rely on its own physique, forcibly keeping the monarch flame for one's own use. Zhu Tianwo's physique was the sacred spirit fire body. If it belongs to me, then the Xiao clan's monarch flame. Sooner or later, I'll subdue you, don't you think? One sensing the coldness and killing intent in Xiao Yi's tone, Xiao Yan frowned and said with a sneer, in other words, you are waiting for Zhu Tianwo to grow. But after the completion of the sacred fire body, are you still a match for him? Zhu Tianwo's strength could be considered formidable. In the Heaven Pillar Peak, with the intense consumption of origin cheese, the former could unleash the sacred spirit fire body to such an extent. When he grows up in the future, Xiao Yi would definitely not be able to defeat him. I don't need to wait for him to master it. In 2 years at most, his sacred spirit fire body will be mine. After nurturing him for so long, you should give me some strength. Saying so, Xiao Yi's gaze was like a sharp sword as he looked at Xiao Yan. Although he was extremely envious of the monarch flame on Xiao Yan's body, he was somewhat afraid of the Xiao Ao beside Xiao Yan. Even he was unable to see through it at a glance. Why are you telling me so much? Aren't you afraid that I will inform all the elders when I go out? Xiao Yan stared at Xiao Yi. The origin monarch chi within his body began to circulate quietly. Once he discovered that the latter was showing signs of attacking, he would definitely take the initiative to attack. I just want to tell you that I will also have the monarch flame. The disciples of the Xiao clan in this great world will not be weaker than you. Furthermore, when I was in the 4 academies competition, I will definitely be stronger than Mu Yuyang. Xiao Yi's expression returned to normal. He turned around and left. After taking a few steps, he suddenly turned around and said with a smile. By the way, if some of the corpse chi is touched by it, it will create a temporary illusion. Many people won't be able to differentiate between illusion and reality because of it. So, even if you tell them about it, the elders won't care. Smiling, Xiao Yi's figure flashed and entered the black fog. He quickly left the place, but his laughter echoed in Xiao Yan's ears. You can tell Zhu Tianwo as much as you want, but with his personality, if he knew, he would definitely want to defeat me by cultivating. The stronger his sacred fire body is, the more suitable it is for me. Clenching his teeth, Xiao Yan didn't make a move in the end. Since this guy was ranked 3rd in realm and valley and was the eldest grandson of the Xiao clan's great elder, no one could say for sure what kind of tricks he would have. Even if he attacked together with the Xiao Ao, it would only result in mutual destruction. Being seriously injured in illusory spirit space was simply courting death. This guy is really annoying. The Xiao Ao snorted. Xiao Yi's gloomy tone made him feel unpleasant. Zhu Tianwo. Xiao Yan pursed his lips. This guy had the sacred flame body, but he was still remembered by someone. He could also feel the same feeling. Back in Forest Domain, the people of Lei Clan had gone all out to get his 3000 lightning monarch flame, and in the end, Lien Yushin had died a horrible death. However, with Zhu Tianwo's character, if he knew what Xiao Yi was thinking, he would only increase his strength faster. He mumbled to himself. Only now did Xiao Yan realize that he seemed to have underestimated the muddy waters of Yunluo Academy. No matter where he went, there would always be schemes and plots. You will hallucinate when you are contaminated by a trace of source corpse chi? After calming down, Xiao Yan looked at the Xiao Ao and said solemnly. He had never heard Mu Yiyue mention this before. I really don't know. Xiao Ao scratched his head and said in a conflicted manner. Back then, when he and Yi Tianchen entered the pagoda with their strength, their bodies were surrounded by the core chi that Yi Tianchen specially refined. The origin corpse chi could not erode it at all. He had only heard about the harm that it could cause. When he heard the Xiao muttering, Xiao Yan's expression became even more solemn. He was even more worried about Xuan Ura and Kai Lin's safety. Origin Corpse Chi, Monster, and the traps that other academies might set up. There are also students with ill intentions. Clenching his teeth, Xiao Yan helplessly sighed. As expected of the ancient battlefield, it was full of danger everywhere. I say, it's not easy to come here. Shouldn't I improve my strength first? If we go deeper, we will enter the middle of illusory spirit space. There will be more demons gathering there. The Xiao rolled its eyes, then it pretended to comfort Xiao Yan. It nodded. Xiao Yan recovered his senses and followed the Xiao into the depths. There was no use worrying here. All he could do was hope that they were safe. The deeper they went, the surrounding black fog completely blocked their vision and increased the danger. Crack! When he stepped on a pile of bones, a cracking sound was heard. Xiao Yan looked down and saw that the broken bones were still crystal clear and translucent. This should be an expert from the ancient era. After his death, his body was eaten by the monster, and his bones are still immortal. After kicking a pile of broken bones under his feet, the Xiao curled its lips and said indifferently. Xiao Yan frowned slightly. He had already encountered a lot of dried bones on the way here. In other words, this area was one of the battlefields of the past. There were so many experts who had fallen, but why couldn't they find a single monster in half a day? As he thought about it, Xiao Yan raised his head and looked into the distance. A layer of flame surged in his eyes, and he could barely see the scene in the distance. What entered his eyes was a towering mountain of yin. The yin qi was surging on it, and it was emitting a boundless murderous aura. It was extremely frightening. The Xiao's body gently floated in the air, and a purple light flashed in its eyes. Looking in the direction Xiao Yan was looking at, it seemed to be muttering to itself, that should be one of the 5 major yin meridians in illusory spirit space, the Wu Yin Meridian. There are many fallen experts buried in that place. The old man and I have been there before. Although there are no more powerful demons among them, there should be a lot of emperor-level demons. After saying that, the Xiao looked at Xiao Yan with a smile and said, although there might be some small dangers in there, it will be much faster to improve your strength in there. Do you want to go? His friendly tone was full of temptation. He looked at the Xiao with a strange expression. When the latter saw Xiao Yan looking at him with a smile that was not a smile, he immediately became somewhat unnatural. He muttered, I was just saying, whether you want to go or not. Doesn't it still have to be decided by yourself? Enough, to be honest, there is something in this shaman yin meridian. Xiao Yan shook his head and said in a bad mood. When I came here with the old man in the past, the old man said that there might be a fallen ancient powerful being in there, but because I was afraid of the strength of the monster, I didn't set foot in it. Now that such a long time has passed, those powerful monsters must have been eliminated long ago. It just so happens that I can go inside to look for opportunities. Upon hearing Xiao Yan's question, the Xiao immediately spoke in high spirits, telling him everything he knew. Teacher came before. Xiao Yan looked at the mysterious Wu Yin Meridian in the distance and pondered for a moment. He then took a deep breath and nodded under the surprised gaze of the Xiao. All right, let's go and take a look. That's the style of a boss. With a chuckle, the Xiao took the lead and rushed towards the direction of the Wu Yin Meridian. After obtaining Xiao Yan's approval, he finally did not need to hide and lead Xiao Yan forward. After taking another look at the Wu Yin Meridian, Xiao Yan's body moved and followed the Xiao. He was quite familiar with this area. He did not know what was in the Wu Yin Meridian that could arouse the interest of his teacher. After a long while, the two of them had arrived at the foot of the Wu Yin Meridian. The closer they got, the more Xiao Yan could feel the ferocious qi coming towards him. It made the blood in his body seem like it was going to coagulate together. As expected, the qi here is much weaker than before. At that time, even Emperor cultivation warriors couldn't enter just by relying on this baleful qi. Xiao Yan let out a sigh. The Xiao was leading the way, while Xiao Yan was using his powerful soul force to observe his surroundings. Both of them were moving at an extremely fast speed, rushing towards the mountain range. It seems like someone is approaching. As they approached the foot of the mountain, Xiao Yan's brows suddenly trembled. His gaze was like a sharp sword as he looked into the distance. Through the thick black fog, a beautiful figure rushed over. With the help of the monarch flame, Xiao Yan instantly recognized the person. Wu Xiaoqi? Why is she here as well? Beneath the shaman Yin Meridian, Yin Qi was surging. It was as if a peerless, ferocious beast was prostrating on the ground. The Yin Qi that filled the air was incomparably majestic. It was as if the black fog that filled the sky was spewing out from the mountain range, completely blocking out one's sight. In the distance, the Wu Xiaoqis around Wu Xiaoqi's body were rolling. The speed at which her feet moved was extremely fast. In a few moments, she had stopped not far from Xiao Yan. She lifted her head and looked at the vaguely visible giant mountain range within the black fog. Her pretty eyes revealed some solemnness. She had lived in the Yunluo Academy since she was young. Due to her relationship with Elder Wu, she was also able to know some things that were not known in the academy. This illusory spirit space was one of them. When she first entered this place, Elder Wu had used his connections to find out some secrets about the illusory spirit space, including the details of the Wu Yin Meridian. Unfortunately, due to his lack of strength, he did not have the courage to enter this place. This time, he said that he would go in and explore this place no matter what. Xiao Yan and the Xiao looked at Wu Xiaoqi from a distance. Both of them were quite surprised by the latter's arrival. The Xiao had relied on the memories of their previous lives to find this place. How did this fellow come here? It really is. First Xiao Yi, then Wu Xiaoqi. He rubbed the tip of his nose. Xiao Yan mumbled to himself. Even so, Wu Xiaoqi gave him a good feeling. Her straightforward personality also made Xiao Yan have a good impression of her. Wu Xiaoqi did not notice anything about Xiao Yan and the Xiao's secret observation. She gently bit her teeth and touched the curse mark on the back of her neck. Wu Xiaoqi moved her delicate body and carefully entered the mountain range. Although she was very relaxed talking to Elder Wu previously, she was very clear about her own situation. She knew that her life was limited. If she did not put everything on the line this time, she was afraid that she could only. Let's go too, we can't let her get ahead of us. After muttering to himself, the Xiao hurriedly pulled Xiao Yan and followed closely behind. Xiao Yan frowned slightly and allowed the Xiao to pull him. In that instant, through the monarch flame, he actually saw a trace of gloominess on Wu Xiaoqi's face. That kind of expression was extremely familiar to Xiao Yan. When he was close to despair, he also revealed a kind of helpless expression. Kakaka. Yin Qi raged within the mountain range. It was like numerous sharp blades were sweeping over. Even with the origin monarch Qi protecting his body, Xiao Yan still felt a pain on his skin. He displayed a much stronger aura. This unbearable feeling was finally alleviated. How long has it been? Back then, the Yin Wind Blade was able to tear apart an emperor cultivation expert. Now, it is already so weak. The Xiao looked at the surrounding cliffs and cliffs. A purple gold light surged in its eyes. It seemed to have recalled the memories of its past life as it muttered to itself. If this continues, I estimate that this illusory spirit realm will really become trash in less than 100 years. After muttering to himself, the Xiao stared ahead and increased its speed. Although Xiao Yan was puzzled, he didn't want to ask any more questions. He could only keep up with the speed of the Xiao while guarding against the surrounding dangers. Boom! Suddenly, a buzzing sound came from ahead. The mountain seemed to have shattered, and the thick black fog was blown away. This feeling. It's a monarch emperor monster. The Xiao was startled, and then he was overjoyed. He looked at Xiao Yan with a joyful expression and said, "Hurry up and snatch it from that little girl. The origin bead of a monarch emperor monster is enough for you to increase your strength by 1 grade. As he spoke, the Xiao excitedly rushed forward. Xiao Yan was slightly stunned. He did not know how to reply, so he could only follow. Rumble. After entering the valley, a monster about 5 people tall slowly walked out of the black fog. Every step it took caused the ground to buzz. The monster was wearing black armor, and its head was completely covered by the helmet, only revealing a pair of blood-red eyes. Its eyes were filled with evil energy, and its exposed arms were covered with red fur. In its huge palm, it held a dark black iron rod tightly, and looked at its shape. It was just a devil ape. Wu Xiaoqi's expression was grave. A helplessness also surged into her eyes. Although she knew that she would encounter a powerful monster after entering the Wu Yin Meridian, she did not expect that just after entering this place. A monster of this level. It should be the target of Mu Yuyang, Lin Dao, and the others. It was a little difficult for her. With her current strength, the only way to kill this monster was to undo the curse. Roar! The devil ape roared and looked down. Compared to the petite Wu Xiaoqi, she was completely at a disadvantage. Swoosh! The black iron rod in his hand was skillfully waved once and the devil ape suddenly swung down. Wherever the black iron rod passed, the black fog was torn apart and the endless yin wind blades were also destroyed. Wu Xiaoqi's pretty face changed slightly. Her body swayed and her speed was displayed to the limit. Only then did she manage to dodge the black metal rod, which was the devil ape. Boom! The black metal rod smashed onto the ground. A crack instantly spread from the ground. A huge aftershock spread apart and the surrounding cliffs trembled. Numerous spiderweb-like crack lines were formed. This isn't an ordinary monarch emperor monster. Although it can't be compared to an emperor cultivation monster, its strength. How can it be so strong? When the Xiao saw the devil ape unleash its divine might from afar, it could not help but be shocked when it saw the destructive power of the devil ape. The fiery heat in its eyes had been extinguished quite a bit. Xiao, this fellow's strength has somewhat exceeded my expectations. The Xiao smiled awkwardly. Just as it was about to speak, Xiao rushed out from the side. With a clench of his hand, the blue flame ruler had already appeared in his hand. Lightning surged on the surface of the ruler. The 8-directional thunder ruler had already been used. It ruthlessly smashed onto the black metal rod that the devil ape had struck down once again. Wu Xiaoqi had just dodged the attack of the devil ape and before she could react, the devil ape flipped its huge wrist and the black metal rod was like gangrene attached to the bone as it once again smashed down. A helpless look flashed across Wu Xiaoqi's eyes. Just as she was about to undo the curse seal on the back of her neck, a metal clanging sound suddenly sounded behind her. Wu Xiaoqi was startled and immediately looked to the side. Her pretty eyes could not help but widen as she cried out in shock, "Xiao!" The dark steel staff collided violently with the dark steel staff. Even though he had used the ruler technique monarch skill, Xiao was still sent flying by the huge force. His body forcefully twisted in the air and his feet stepped on the cliff, landing steadily on the ground. Nodding his head at Wu Xiaoqi, Xiao revealed a bitter smile and said, "I'm sorry, Senior, I couldn't help but attack." Wu Xiaoqi recovered from the shock in an instant. Her body flashed again and she came to Xiao side. She was delighted. "You have come at the right time. There is no need to thank me. I will remember your kindness." Shaking his head with a bitter smile, Xiao looked at the devil ape not far away. He grinned and said, "Let's defeat this monster first. Why do I feel that there is some danger?" Wu Xiaoqi nodded with a solemn expression. Before they had even exchanged blows, she could clearly sense that this monarch emperor monster was slightly different. However, she was unable to pinpoint exactly where it was. "Oh Wu!" With a furious roar, the devil ape's eyes were like blood. Its huge body leapt nimbly as it raised the black metal rod in its hand. Like a meteorite, it smashed down towards the two of them. This idiot! Seeing that Xiao had subconsciously gone out to save them, the Xiao gritted its teeth. This was great. It had aroused the anger of this monster. Although it spoke, the Xiao's body did not slow down. It also charged forward explosively. Purple gold light surged within its eyes. It clenched its hand and a purple gold large stone tablet was suddenly formed in midair. It violently smashed towards the devil ape's black metal rod. Dragon tablet hand. A layer of solemnness surged onto the young face of the Xiao. As it flipped its hand, the huge stone tablet appeared to be a monument that had suppressed the ages as it pressed down on the devil ape. In an instant, purple gold light surged in this area, forcing back the endless black fog.